Chapter 4 Pilgrims, Walloons, and Crullers. At just about the time that a new, powerful Dutch West India Company was using all its political influence to get a charter from the States General, another little clumsy vessel set out for the Hudson River region. Captain Jones knew quite well, as he steered his good ship Mayflower out of the English harbor of Plymouth, that his 102 passengers hoped to find their heart's desire of religious freedom on Manna-Hatin Island. What a different history might have been New York's had the Pilgrim fathers and mothers disembarked with their household goods upon the island of their choice. But the story is told that a Dutch bribe slipped into the hands of the perfidious Jones, turned the Mayflower away from the Dutch trading post. God outshoots Satan sometimes in his own bow, writes one of the Pilgrim descendants, for had they gone to Hudson's River, as before expressed, it had proven very dangerous to them, for although it is a place far more commodious, and the soil more fertile, yet then abounding with a multitude of pernicious savages, whereby they would have been in great peril of their lives. Hence the Pilgrim colony was established on the coast of Massachusetts, and commerce continued to rule at Manna-Hatin. Its dominion was but a small one, a few huts, a handful of men, a boat at long intervals, some cargoes of pelts. These gave little hint of the millions that were to come. But world politics were even then beginning to shape the destiny of this canoe-shaped island at the mouth of the Hudson River. Away back in 1606, King James I of England, basing his claim on the discoveries of the Cabots, had made a grant to the Plymouth Company of all land in North America, extending along the coast between 38 degrees and 45 degrees latitude. This, of course, included New Netherland, where the Dutch traders were so contentedly exchanging beads and other trinkets for rich furs. Holland, in spite of its size, was powerful on the sea, and was engaged in a struggle for trade advantage with both Spain and England. In the year following the voyage of the Mayflower, the Dutch West India Company was awarded a charter that its armed merchantmen might sail forth in pursuit of the richly laden Spanish galleons. In addition, the directors of the company were given unlimited power to govern provinces where their vessels traded. In due time, the Amsterdam Chamber of the West India Company took over the affairs of New Netherland, although these seemed of so little importance that the territory was not even mentioned in the charter, and the directors gave the little trading post at the foot of Manhattan Island its first official name, New Amsterdam. But the English claims could not be ignored, and it was, therefore, considered sound strategy to meet them by establishing permanent settlements in the disputed territory. Accordingly, 30 families of persecuted Belgian Calvinists, called Walloons, who offered themselves as colonists, were sent over. Thus, the first real residents among the white races were not Dutch, but Belgians. When they arrived with Captain Cornelius May as Director General in the ship New Netherland, some of the families were sent up the river to the new Fort Orange near Albany, some to the banks of the Delaware River, and a few to the site of the Brooklyn Navy Yard at Wallabout Bay, which they called Wallabocht, or Bay of the Foreigners. For a while, the company seemed to take a lively interest in its adopted child. Cows and farm implements were shipped over, and more colonists, simple people who were too much occupied with building their houses to worry at first about government detail. An engineer, Krein Fredrickson, was presently dispatched with his rule and compass, and made a map showing how Fort New Amsterdam should be built, with its star-shaped bastions, and at what point on the present State Street a windmill's broad sweep should rise. There was also to be a loft above the horse mill near South William and Pearl Streets of today, where, on a Sunday, the colonists could sit among the grain sacks and worship in the Dutch Reformed fashion. Then, too, Sebastian Kroll came over to serve as marriage clerk, as temporary director, and as comforter of the sick. How important a person he was in the little community, we may partly guess from the tradition that our modern cruller takes its name and form from a Dutch delicacy called cruller, after the good man who seems to have carried a supply of these about with him in cheering the sick. However, these early colonists were fated to need many forms of comfort and cheer beside the humble cruller during the first years of their struggle with the wilderness.